seriously, right now with the big two, almost every prominent character that they have has been cheapened officially. And I'm not saying that this process just started. I'm saying that officially they mean nothing. Now, what do I mean by that? As a reader, and I know non-readers would like to think that every fucking book that it came out over the years, just every character was just, if there was a new writer, they was just so different. And that it wasn't necessarily the case. That's not true at all, actually. There were rules at one point. Definitely when Jim Shooter was around. There were rules. That doesn't mean that the characters didn't grow or anything. It just means that the characters were the character, right? You knew who Peter Parker was. You knew who Spider-Man was. You read his books. You read his hundreds of books. You knew who he was. It was an understanding. Whereas to now, now some could say that this is because they've both become, with the big two, with DC and Marvel, they've both become like corporate now, considering who owns them. Now they're just brands, right? They're brands to sell other stuff aside from the books. So now the stories at this point that could be, you could point to as memorable, as responsible for what grew this character, those stories mean fucking nothing anymore. Because every character now is just a fucking symbol and a suit and maybe a power set or something like that. But aside from that, anybody can depict them any sort of way. They've even gotten their audience, the audience of normies that accept that, to carry the water for their lazy bullshit by just simply saying it's a different universe, right? It's a different universe, which is you telling me these characters aren't characters at all. They're just brands, and they're a slate for whatever idiot fucking writer wants to tell whatever goofy fucking story. So this is why I can't even get invested. I can't get invested in any of this stuff. And to be fair, none of you weirdos get invested in doing this stuff. Cosplayers don't get invested in this shit, aside from maybe cosplaying the character. But it's not like that is translated to book sales. This is why I continue to say that when it comes to actually selling the characters and who it is that they are, the Japanese do a far better job than the American big two nowadays. And that wasn't always the case, but it certainly is now. I say it all the time. Anime sells the mangas and mangas sell the anime. And often they're damn near one by one fucking adaptations. Sometimes there's changes, and oftentimes when they change some shit, the audience gets all fucking pissed off, right? So the reason, and I guess people that they don't have those aspirations to build something, I guess can't ever understand that, right? Because at this point, it's like, well, these part of like the fabric of American culture now. So these characters are just characters. Bruce Wayne is Batman. Bruce Wayne can be anything. Spider-Man can be fucking anybody. Hell, there's fucking 4,500 Spider-Folk now, so who cares, right? Even made fucking got Spider-Gwen or Ghost Spider or whatever goofy shit that they call her ass, and all these weirdos start to stand them, and they fucking make cosplays and Instagram photos and shit of these fucking characters. Ain't now one of these motherfuckers ever bought a fucking book, which is why, again, you can see, don't have to take my word for anything. These guys have had, comic book movies have basically ran the fucking film industry for the last 10 years for the most part. It has not equaled an increase in comic book sales. That's asshole backwards as far as I'm concerned. They haven't equaled a sale, like more sales, let's say, on net. No, the fact they're going in the red. Now, why do you think that is? It's because, well, it's not like I go watch that movie and that's going to be the character that I recognize. No, it's not going to be the character I recognize at all. It's just going to be a goofy fucking version of the character that whatever producer, actor, because the characters aren't characters anymore. They're just slates to sell other stuff. That's it. But the beautiful thing about this, when you do it well and you do like, there's some sort of level of continuity no matter where this character shows up. Like, that's who that is. Well, your audience is encouraged to invest in it. And that's where they lose sight of, right? Even though, yeah, they can go a blockbuster movie and make all of this fucking money. How long is that going to last? I don't know. Of course, you had Spider-Man, which saw a bunch of success, which to be expected with considering the nostalgia bait and all of that. But also, you know, you look at how Eternals did, Black Widow, and fucking, you know, Shang-Chi barely made fucking money. Like these aren't, some of them ain't doing fucking all too well, and we'll see what happens going into the future. But I do believe if Marvel and DC had kept some sort of integrity with their fucking characters, whenever they decided to start just saying, okay, the character is just this, and we'll a different universe, right? It's different universe. They would have saw a lot more enthusiasm with their comic books, but also could have sold future characters in the process as well. Even with characters that you think, oh, well, yeah, this is one of their new characters, which is not new. Again, Miles Morales is just Peter Darker. Peter Parker with a fucking tape of fate and Jordan 1s. That's it. It's all he's ever fucking been. Nothing from that character that we haven't already seen from a version of fucking Peter Parker or another copy or clone of him. We've already seen the fucking shit. They don't even know what to do with him right now. They got him in this new fucking suit. He got this like double max shit and like, I don't even know what to do with this fucking goofy ass fucking character. Nonetheless, like I say, people don't like Miles Morales. They just like the idea of Miles Morales, which is why Miles Morales books don't sell worth a goddamn. Now, you can be mad at me for bringing it up, and you can like that your little, I don't know, nephew or some shit likes to wear a Miles Morales bodysuit or some shit, but that don't change anything. You motherfuckers only like the idea because, again, you're the character. You're not actually invested in the character. You're invested in the brand. And that's it. And that's, I guess that works in some capacity. But from a creative standpoint, definitely with print, with books, it's a lousy, very ineffective tool. Why you'd want to do that, I don't fucking know. I mean, I guess you're sacrificing long-term gains for the sake of maybe a momentary short boost. But that's why the Japanese kicks their asses, and definitely in that continuity aspect of when you see Goku, you know who the fuck Goku is. You know what I mean? When you see whoever, you know, these new, I mean, they can pump out new fucking properties like you're going out of style. Like you look at Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen, like these are relatively new fucking mangas, man, and animes. They're relatively fucking new, man, and they just came out and they just shit on everything that's being dropped by the big two. But there's a reason for that, man. There's a reason for that, and the minute American creatives start trying to prioritize that, because right now you seem to have a bunch of weirdos that have their social preferences. So what they do is they take the character and they say, well, I want to tell my story, and I just want to use the character as a means to piggyback off of that, like we saw with T. Franklin and what she's doing with these different characters in this Harley Quinn and Vixen and all this shit, because she's gay, disabled, and lesbian. She feels like almost everybody else got to be fucking gay, lesbian, and disabled and shit, or that has to be represented in the book or the story that it is she's telling. So it's not about those characters. It's about warping that brand, utilizing that brand to tell their goofy story. So you make it about you. These guys it's just arrogance. It's arrogance. But the minute American creatives start to prioritize that again and actually having some level of continuity, I think there's going to be a lot of money to be made in this market, because we see how Japanese are kicking our ass in the American market. But there's going to be a lot of money to be made the minute it's like almost a renaissance where people get back to the creative sense. But also, you got to understand, like, you're not insulting your customer, right? If I can, at minimum, and this is what I will do with the Rippaverse stuff, I can promise you that when that character shows up anywhere else outside of the book, you will recognize him or her. You will recognize them. I'm insulting you if I were to say, okay, thanks for all the investments, all this keeping up with these books, all these purchases. Now the character shows up in, let's say, an animated film or something, and then the character is completely unrecognizable. That's an insult. That's a fucking insult. That's an insult to you. That's an insult to my customers. And that's where a lot of folks lose sight of in the creative sense with like American comic books right now, and they don't understand why they're getting their fucking ass kicked by the Japanese. It's a simple thing. Those characters are recognizable. Now, characters aren't even characters. They're just brands and platforms, suits, symbols, and that's it. Like there's nothing like Bruce Wayne doesn't, and that's cheap. That's what I mean when I say all the characters are cheap now, because you cheapen them. You giving us 17 versions of the same goddamn character. So you cheapen that character. What should have been something that was unique is no longer unique, because instead of Spider-Man being Peter Parker, which is a unique scenario for him, right? The odds of an experiment, with radiation experiment or whatever, and a spider getting in the middle of that and then proceeding to bite, that's a once in a lifetime occurrence. Oh, until it happened, the same thing happened to fucking Miles Morales. They're literally the same exact fucking thing. Right? So you cheapen them because you just want a palette swapped a version of it because you like the idea. American creatives got a lot to learn, man, and until that concept, that continuity aspect is addressed, they'll continue to get their ass kicked. This is what I genuinely believe. You just watched a clip from my podcast, For Canon's Sake. Catch us live at 12 p.m. throughout the week over at youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and follow us over at odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. If you want to watch the entire video cast after the show is over, just be sure to become a member on the YouTube channel. Of course, the full audio portion of the podcast is available for free on all major digital platforms, or just visit forcanonsake.com.